Ever wonder why a company can't just, click update on its software like you do on your phone? Well, behind every single stable, reliable system out there, there's a really detailed, structured process called IT change management. So let's dive in and see how this framework actually keeps our digital world from falling apart. Yeah, this is the question, right? We've all been there. You find a tiny bug or you have a request that seems so simple, but instead of a 5-minute fix, it gets logged into a process. And it can feel like you're just getting bogged down in red tape, but trust me, there's a really, really good reason for all of it. And that's the big idea right there. I mean, think about it. You would never, ever build a house without a detailed architectural blueprint, would you? Of course not. It would be total chaos. Well, the exact same thing is true for complex IT systems. One little quick change without a plan can literally bring an entire company to a screeching halt. This blueprint is what prevents that disaster. So this IT blueprint, it's built on 7 core activities. That's it. 7 super detailed, structured steps that make sure every single change is done with precision, with foresight, and with a whole lot of control. It's all about minimizing risk and keeping things stable. Okay, so the first part of building anything is the groundwork. Before a single line of code gets written, before a single server is touched, you have to lay a rock-solid foundation. And these first 3 steps, they're all about the planning, the assessment, and, of course, getting permission. So here they are, the first 3 pillars. First, you log the request. Then, you assess what it's really going to do. And finally, you get the official green light. You know the old saying, measure twice, cut once? That's exactly what this is. So let's break them down. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with a formal request for change, or an RFC. Now, this is not just some quick email you fire off. It's a proper document. It needs to be super detailed. What the change is, why you're doing it, what systems it's going to touch, and here's the crucial part. You have to map out the potential risks, the step-by-step implementation plan, and just as important, your backout plan. This really just says it all, doesn't it? A backout plan is your escape hatch. It's the pre-planned step-by-step guide on how to undo everything if it all goes sideways. See, professionals plan for failure so they can recover in an instant. If you don't have that plan, you're not managing change. You're just rolling the dice and hoping for the best. So, how do we figure out those risks we just mentioned? Well, it's not a gut feeling. It's a structured assessment, and it often uses a matrix that looks just like this. You look at 2 things. How likely is it that something will go wrong, and what's the business impact if it does? A change that has a high impact and is also very likely to fail. That's a high-risk change, my friend, and it needs to be handled with extreme care. Okay, so the request is in, the risk is scored. Now it goes up the approval chain. And the key thing here is what's called separation of duties. Basically, the person who wants the change can't be the person who approves it. Simple as that. It usually goes to a change manager, then to a group of experts called the Change Advisory Board, or CAB for short, before getting a final sign-off. It's this detailed structure that stops bad ideas from ever seeing the light of day. All right. The blueprint is approved. The foundation is solid. Now we get to the fun part. We move from just planning to actually doing. This is the construction phase, where the change gets built, put into place, and then inspected. And this action phase has its own 3 steps. First, we plan and schedule it so it doesn't break anything else. Second, we do the thing. We implement it. And finally, we review how it all went before we officially close it out. So, step 4 is all about timing. The change gets put on something called the Forward Schedule of Change, or FSC. Think of it as the master calendar for the entire IT organization. It's there to make sure the database team isn't trying to do major surgery on a server on the very same night that the network team is trying to rewire the whole building. It's all about coordination. And now, we're at the implementation itself. This step is all about one thing: discipline. Only the authorized people get to do the work, and they have to follow that approved plan down to the letter. This is not the time to get creative or improvise. It is all about carefully, meticulously executing the blueprint we already agreed on. So the change is live. Are we done? Nope, not yet. Step 6 is the post-implementation review, or PIR, and this is where the real magic happens. The team gets together and asks 3 incredibly powerful questions. What went well? What went wrong? And the big one, what did we learn? This meeting is absolutely mandatory for any failed change and for all high-risk ones too, even if they were successful. This is how you make the whole organization smarter. Okay, and finally, we close the loop. Because a good change management process isn't just a checklist you run through once. No, it's a cycle. It's about continuous improvement. The blueprint itself is like a living document that gets smarter every time you use it. And that brings us to the final step, continual improvement. All those lessons we learned in the review, they get fed right back into the process. And when you get a change that's routine and low risk and you've perfected it, you can add it to a library of standard changes. Think of these as pre-approved blueprints. This lets you do common things super fast, and it lets you focus all that detailed planning on the big, tricky, normal changes. It's this structured learning that actually makes a company both faster and safer over time. So when you step back and look at the big picture, you really see there are two ways to do this. There's the path of unplanned changes, which is pure chaos. It's all reactive firefighting, leading to downtime and really unhappy people. And then there's the path of managed change. It's stable, it's predictable, and it lets the business move forward with confidence. I mean, the choice seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? And that pretty much wraps it up. This whole detailed discipline is really about respecting complexity and making a plan to deal with it. So it makes me wonder, whether it's launching a project at work or even just planning a family vacation, what's one process in your world that could seriously use a better blueprint? Something to think about.